Hello, crafty friends. My name is Chris Reinhardt. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Ormond Beach, Florida. Welcome to my craft table. I want to thank you all for all the likes and comments that I received last week on my Cutest Crew cards. Sounds like a lot of you are going to be buying that bundle, so I hope you have as much fun making cards with it as I did. This week we're going to be doing something a little more serious. I'll be using the Fragrant Layers bundle to make a more serious card. And I thought this one was very pretty, and I had seen this color palette on someone else's card. She used a different stamp set, but I really liked the Pool Party and the Balmy Blue together. So I decided to use that color combination on my card today. So let me show you what we'll need to get started. And then I'll have to say that this is a little more involved than most of my cards have been so far, so I'll be referring to my notes a little more than usual. All right, we're using, as I mentioned, the Fragrant Layers stamp and dies. Some of the dies are out, but we'll be using that set. I used the Peaceful Greenery 3D embossing folder. It's retired. Any embossing folder will work. My sample card, I didn't emboss the Pool Party layer, and after I finished it, I thought it would look better if it was embossed. So that's why I decided to make today's card with an embossed layer, and we'll see how that looks. And that's the one I used, but as I said, you could use any embossing folder. The sentiment is Just Because from the Fabulous Sayings. Great stamp set. And it's still available, I think. It's the product of the month from last month. And it is still available. So if you haven't gotten it, you should consider getting it. I used the Scallop Contours dies. Use this one here. And lastly, I used the Perfectly Pairs just for the sentiment strip. It was just the right size for the Just Because. So those are the supplies we'll be using. Now, as far as the cardstock, Balmy Blue base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And our inside layer is white, basic white. It's 5 1/4 by 4. Outside, there's going to be a layer that is 3 and 15 sixteenths. 3 and 15 sixteenths by 5 and 3 sixteenths. Whew! If you don't like sixteenths, you can always round up or down a little bit. I want to show you what I have made for myself to help me with these layers, to decide what layer I want, what size layer I want to use. I made up a little template, as you can see here, with all the different sizes, and they're in 16th increments. So for instance, that's 4 3/4 by 3.5. The next one is 13 sixteenths by 3 9 sixteenths. So I basically just went through here and pulled out a couple and decided which one I thought looked like what I was looking for. One of these days I will type up all of the sizes of my templates and maybe post them on a video description. Or maybe you can text me and I can send it to you. I haven't decided that yet. Haven't gotten to it, but that's how I came up with these sizes. So again, that white is 3 and 15 sixteenths by 5 and 3 sixteenths. Okay. Next is a layer of Pool Party, and that's the one I embossed. And it is 3 and 3/4 by 5. Then you're going to need a layer of basic white, and that's what I cut out the scalloped border with. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take this die from the Fragrant Layers. You're going to set it towards the top with just a little bit of a margin, and an even left and right margin, and run it through your die machine, and you'll come up with this. And that will be the next layer. And then you're going to need a piece of vellum that is 2 3/4 by 4. Okay, I think we can get started now. I'll set the card base aside for the time being. I'm going to glue the pool party to the white. And since it's embossed, I like to use a little bit extra glue so it gets in those little crevices. Okay. Next, we're going to need to get our flowers colored. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out with a piece of basic white. And let's see how much this is 5.5 by 3. And the reason I chose that size is because I can cut out the flowers and the leaves all on one sheet. And you're going to be brushing on Pool Party and Balmy Blue. And I've done this already, but I want to show you how I did it. I did a light coating of Pool Party to start with. You don't want either one of these colors too dark because it's kind of a pastel colored card. So you're just going to apply a little bit of color all around your white layer. Looks like my ink pad could use a little re-inking. I've been brushing a lot of Pool Party lately. And it doesn't have to be perfect because, as I mentioned, it's going to be die cut, so flowers have variations in color all the time. They're not perfectly colored, so don't worry about it being blotchy. And the other thing, after I die cut it, I didn't like the color. It had too much of Pool Party and not enough of the Balmy Blue, so I rebrushed color on after it was die cut. After it's die cut, you can sort of tell where it needs the color. Okay, here's the Pool Party. Now we'll do some Balmy Blue. I also find if you hold your brush towards the end, you don't give it as much pressure, so you're sure to get it a light coating that way. It's always good to tap it off just to make sure you don't have a big blob. There. I think that looks good. So you want it something along that line. Put that away. And like I said, I cut mine out. As you can see, it's about the same color. So when I cut them out, you're going to use this die from this set and also the 3 leaves. So I've got those all cut here. And I like the leaves to be a little darker than the flower itself so that they stand out. So when I added extra color, I just brushed it like this. And I sort of stayed in the middle of the flowers with the Balmy Blue and a little bit of the berries. Whatever color you want is going to work. Okay. So we can set that aside for a second. Let's see, what do we do next? So the next thing we're going to do, oh yes, you need to also cut out, and I had these extra already. This die has 6 little flowers in it. You'll need to cut that out in just white and leave it white. I had some extras since it cuts out 6 from my last card. So it's these right here. You just need 3 of them. So I'll set that aside as well. Okay. Next, we're going to add glue to the flowers and leaves on the back of this piece. Just little dots of it, because we're going to be adding this. Let's see, it goes this way. We're going to be gluing this onto there, like that. So we need to add glue to the backs of this. And you just want little dots. So let me see if my other glue is, if we've got some of that, because it's got a real small fine tip. Nope. The whole top came off. That's not good. Me and my glue. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is going to be live portion, so it's probably going to take a little time. But take your time, because you only want to get glue on the leaf portion. My glue's not coming out. There it comes. And work on your silicone mat also, because you don't want to get glue all over your desk. I find it works best if you just do the leaves first and then go back and do the flowers, because otherwise you'd have all that glued and some of it would have already dried before you got everything placed. So I'm just doing the leaves. And we're going to have a piece of vellum backing this, so it'll hold it in place also. So don't worry about thinking it's going to fall off, because the vellum will also hold it in place. Okay. So let's get the first big leaf in there. And flip it over to make sure that it's within the boundaries, which that one is. Let's get our next leaf. And you can see the difference between the leaves. One has the small end. Whoops, there we go. Well, I think they are the same now that I'm looking at it. Flip it over, make sure it's in. This one's not, so it needs to be adjusted a little. Maybe that goes in the other one. There is a difference in the leaves. Yes, that one goes there. Okay, and then this one can go down here. Flip it over, make sure it's inside. Yes. See, all of those are within the boundaries of the leaf, the white on the leaves. Okay, now we can glue the flower. And you don't need to glue the berries because, well, yeah, you do need to glue the berries. You don't need to glue the border though. Okay. So this is the most time-consuming part of this whole card. I say that because I did most of the prep work. It does take a lot of time to die cut everything out too, but I already did that. Okay. So here we go. Have you all gotten this set? I've had it for a couple weeks, and this is the first time I've really played with it. I've seen a lot of really pretty cards with it. There we go. Okay, now it's time to glue. The flowers in. And again, you're going to want to flip it over to make sure that we're inside the boundaries of the flowers, and wow, looks like it turned out good to start with. Okay. Now we're going to take our vellum and that was 2 3/4 by 4. We're going to glue just around the border of the square here, not all the way down to the bottom, because the vellum is only going to be covering this little area here. Make sure I'm still in camera range. There we go. And this just softens the pool party behind here. I thought it made it a nice look. Here we go. All right, now we're going to add some dimensionals. Around the whole perimeter, and that will also help tack down the vellum. Got to be careful you don't, probably needs a small one there, that you don't go over the vellum so that the dimensionals show through. This one won't show because there's a flower there. And then we'll use some small ones for the other areas. And I could use a big one over here. There's a little more room. Yeah. And then a small one. And that should hold it. Okay, now we're going to glue that. Take off your backings, and we're going to put that on our pool party embossed layer. And actually almost done with this card. We're going to just have the sentiment to go on the front and our bow. The coloring took a little bit of time, and the die cutting is about it. There we go. Okay, now we're going to center this on our pool party, and that covers up the blank area that was inside that embossed, that label area. Okay, now we can add those white flowers that we had. What did I, oh, here they are. I'm going to glue those to the center of the 3 flowers. And then we'll put some gems on top of them. You want to make sure you get glue towards the edges, because the center is just a void. There's nothing there, so the glue isn't going to do any good in the center. So get your edges of your flowers so it'll have something to glue onto. Okay. Now I used iridescent faceted gems. I think they may be retired, but any kind of a rhinestone would look nice here. Even a pearl would look nice. I'm just trying to use up some of my older gems. And put that in the center of each of the flowers. Okay, yeah, set these aside. We still need them. We've got to stamp our sentiment too. Now, as I mentioned, I used the sentiment strip from Perfectly Pairs. And the Just Because from the, what was that one called? Fabulous Things. Whoops. My contact lens must have fallen out. Okay. I generally stamp first and die cut later, so if this doesn't work, I've got one that's already done. That looks like it's going to be crooked. I like my other one better, so we'll use my other one. And we're going to glue that. I just glued it straight down. I didn't put it on dimensionals. Down in the center here. That's such a great sentiment, just because you don't have to have a reason to send a card. You just want to stay in touch with a friend. Okay, and we need two more gems. I'll use the smaller ones here and there. Got too much gum sticking out. And one there. Now we can glue that to our card front. And we'll have the front all done. Here we go. Oh, those little dimensionals. They stick everywhere. Now this has a little larger border than I usually use because I use that crazy size. I wanted you to see some of the balmy blue also. So there's our card front. Now we can work on the inside. Now on the inside, I just stamped the flower by itself, and I used both Pool Party and Balmy Blue. So let me get those out. I don't know if it's easier to stamp the center first or the outline first. I can't remember. So let's try the outline, and that's in Balmy Blue. And if you can see, there's a little hook in the flower petal there. So that's, I think, what you use to line up the other part. And let's see if I can find the hook. Looks like it might be right here. I don't think it's going to make a difference if you're off a little. Ooh, not off at all. Actually, I did better than I did on the sample. Okay, we can glue this in, and that will be a wrap. I need to fill my glue bottle again. I sure go through a lot of glue. I've been making cards like crazy. I make at least one a day, if not more. And I'm not one for the tape runner. I'm more of a liquid glue person. Here we go. Oh, we forgot our bow. I used the, let's see. It is called Balmy Blue, but it's a sheer ribbon, and I believe it's on the Last Chance. And oh my gosh, it is so pretty. When I saw the ribbon, it just looked like regular blue ribbon. But when I opened it up and saw how sheer and iridescent it was, I thought, oh, I need to get another roll of that. So what I did is I added a glue dot to the back. I'm definitely going to get another roll of this ribbon. And I put it up here. There we go. So here's our cards from today, along with dimensional backs. What do you think? I really like this card. I like this set a lot. I've seen people stamping without the outline, and it's beautiful, so I'll be trying some of those as well. What do you think of the embossing versus the plain? I'm still out on that. I'm not sure I'm 100% sold on the embossed. Maybe just that folder. I think I do like the plain better than the embossed. But it's everybody's got a different taste, so do what you like the best. All right, well, that's it for today. I want to remind you to use up your bonus coupons from last month. You don't want those to expire. They expire the end of the month. And don't forget about our joining special that's on until the end of the month also. If you join as a new demonstrator, you'll also receive a free stamp positioner in your starter kit at no charge to you. All right, well, that's it, and I appreciate your coming and watching today's video. Remember, making and receiving handmade cards. That's what joy feels like. See you next time. Bye-bye.